Hello to everybody listening or watching, wherever you are. I'm happy that you're here with us today. We have this very interesting topic ahead of us, and we'll try to cover it as good as we can from the perspectives of free countries. My name is Kelli Eek. I am the head of communications at Mondo, an organization from Estonia that mainly works with global education, development cooperation, and humanitarian aid. And today I will be the one guiding this conversation. We have three guests from three countries, and before I give them the microphone to introduce themselves, I just want to set this background where we're at, from where we are starting this talk. So in our hearts, we're idealists. We dream of a world that is peaceful and that is functioning in the basis of equality and equity. So when we see that when there is peace, people can participate in public and professional life. We see that they can live their private lives without being afraid of discrimination or violence. And yet the world today is bringing us so many crises closer and closer to us. Through social media, we see it broadcasted live. We are right in the middle of it. Now, crises and conflicts have been a part of our history as long as we know them, and it's nothing new, but the way that we are a part of it is really new. And at the moment, we are in this moment where four organizations from Estonia, Finland, and Poland have joined their hands to bring focus to peace education and to give youth workers tools and guidance on how to bring more peace through peace education to the youth today. And I want to start with this question that might feel a little bit naive, even maybe, but I will start with this anyways. And I'll ask each and every one of you, how are you at the moment? Do you have, in this room, do you have peace? I will start with Elina from Finland. And you can also say a few words about your organization and yourself.
I'm Elina Lauttamäki. I work as a training officer for Peace Education Institute. So I work with peace education daily, planning trainings, carrying out trainings, etc. I feel at peace at the moment. So I am experiencing inner peace, but it requires some work every day that I can manage that. I have to limit the time I spend with watching news. I do follow news every day, but I limit the time, how long time I spend with the disturbing news. And I had a good night's rest last night, which helps me to be at peace with myself. And also, we have had a good day at work, working with each other. So I feel at peace with my colleagues. I don't feel at peace with the world. I think that's impossible. If anyone who is following the news, maybe it is possible, but not for me. But yeah. I have a considerable amount of peace within me and with the people around me today.
Thank you, Elina. And I'll give the word to Jacek from Poland.
Hi, hello. Thank you very much for having me here. My name is Jacek Purski and I'm representing the Institute of Social Safety, which is a Polish foundation that is focusing on issues maybe a bit less related with typical peace education, because we are dealing mainly with radicalization, extremism, but also with fake news and polarization. These are our main fields of experience. So we mainly train people like the first line practitioners, including police and including teachers. And our part of this, our duty our part of this collaboration is also implementing the project with the topics I've mentioned earlier. When it comes to peace and myself, I'm for the first time in Estonia, and I'm enjoying it a lot. So I feel happy and I'm having really very peace. I'm having a peace in myself at the moment. But it's probably also because I have really difficult time in the last weeks at work. So I'm now really trying to enjoy this atmosphere here. And like my colleague said earlier, we had a very fruitful working day. So this is also bringing a proper work. Project work is also bringing peace to my heart. But when it comes to more global approach, I'm having peace because I believe that it comes from ourselves. The more peaceful approach we will be having on everyday life, maybe it will spread to those who are causing wars. But of course, it doesn't mean that I'm not worried. It doesn't mean that I'm not worried, that maybe I would even say I'm frustrated. But I believe that actually meetings like this one, actually work like the one that we are doing in this project, is a small drop of sharing more peace in our neighborhoods, our surroundings, our small worlds. So this is my today very, very optimistic approach.
Thank you, Jacek.
Cheers.
And now Roula from Estonia, and you are actually the only youth worker in the table today.
Yes, my name is Roula Abdelhay. I'm a youth worker. I work in Valdeku Noortekeskuse, Valdeku Youth Center, but I am a part of Estonian Youth Workers Association, which is a partner in this project. And I work with young people directly. I work in an open youth center. I'm in contact with young people every single day, 5 days a week. And today, I will be honest, I am not at peace with myself. I feel a little bit all over the place, but with the world, I feel like I have peace because I have hope in young people. I believe in young people's ability to change what is happening right now. It is worrisome, like you said, but I believe it can change. And yeah.
Thank you. And I think that this round actually brought out some very interesting emotions and aspects that we meet in our daily lives and in our societies today already. So I really want to put this on the table. When we talk about peace education and peace, what are they? What is the difference, or are there differences? What does it mean when we talk about peace and when we talk about peace education? And Elina, maybe you are the best one to start with this answer here.
Thank you. There's many aspects to peace and peace education. But what is common in all the aspects of or all the maybe opinions, ways of saying peace education, what is common in most of them is that the objective and aim of peace education is to build and sustain culture of peace. A culture where peace is appreciated, valued, talked about and planned for. We can have different methodologies how to carry out peace education, but the aim is always to develop, cultivate, sustain culture of peace. Building peace together. And we need skills, we need attitude, we need knowledge, we need methodologies how to do that in practical situations. But if there's the aim, then that is peace education. It doesn't even have to be called peace education. It can be called group work. It can be called anti-discrimination work. It can be called walking in the forest. But if the aim is to build culture of peace, then that's peace education.
And some of the knowledges and tools for youth workers is exactly the thing that you have been doing here over the past months and the time together through this project funded by the EU. Peace Education in Times of Crisis is a name of online course that the youth workers all around Europe can actually take and get some of these tools on how to start. But what tells you in your today's work life and daily life, everything, what are the signs in the society that say that peace education is actually needed?
Lack of hope, feeling hopeless. That's one of the main aims of peace education as well.
I would add the polarization also that is clear in all of our countries. The very deep polarization that you can feel on everyday level, not necessarily only in the public space, but also in person-to-person level. Not necessarily in social medias, but also, like I said, in everyday life. This is something which is worrisome. Yeah.
I feel like with young people, I take it more on an individual level. So when I feel that a young person's energy is restless, it is difficult for them to be in a group and to be in the space that we have. I think in every activity, whether it's like cooking, playing board games, I do think there is ways to incorporate peace education and to develop those skills that make those young people able to be in a group setting and also by themselves.
So thank you for bringing in already the youth level as well, because one of the things is always in my mind is, how well do we do it already? Where are we? Do we know it? How common is peace education, or even just the concept of peace education in Finland, in Poland, in Estonia?
I can start with it actually, because my approach here, and generally the Polish approach here, is probably way different to Finnish, because actually it was one of the reasons for us as an organization to join this group of organizations, join this project, because we realized that after having a war just next to the border, we don't speak about peace. Actually, the topic of peace is taken over by the propagandists, and this is absolutely bad. I mean, building peace in yourself, speaking about peace, bringing the topic of peace education is something which is very new, and like I said earlier, unfortunately very often taken by those who absolutely don't want to have peace. And this is even more scary for us as an expert organization that deals with radicalization, extremism. Actually, one of our main tasks is following this information, fake news, and all those topics around this. It was crucially important to also build our knowledge, thanks to our colleagues who are in the project, to build our knowledge to implement something what we call early prevention of radicalization with the tools of peace education. So I speak from the perspective of the country that peace education don't really exists. We just start to speak about it. So this is the level that I would say that comparing what I've learned, comparing to Finland, is way different actually.
But let's stay on the Poland question a little while. I just want to ask how easy it is for you to be the one who is bringing it.
It is difficult, of course, because I would say it's difficult to speak about peace in the moment that everyone is preparing for war. This is something which we very often forget. But what is even more complex, having so many people from Ukraine nowadays in Poland, unfortunately, so often we forget about the dialogue, about bringing peace to our hearts, Polish and Ukrainian hearts, living together. This is something which is absolutely difficult and very often forgotten nowadays, especially now when we hear more and more Russian propaganda in the public medias, including in the social medias, including, and this is absolutely scary. In which, when you see people that were a couple months ago welcoming refugees that were saving their lives. Looking for a shelter in Poland, nowadays more and more narratives which are anti-Ukrainian. This is absolutely not accepted. This is absolutely not accepted. And this doesn't bring peace. This doesn't bring peace. So I would say it's a complex work that is on very different levels with multiple stakeholders and actors. I mean, governmental, practitioners, researchers, but also media. This is much more complex. And if you look at this ecosystem of who is able to build peace, then it makes it even more complex. But it doesn't mean that it's not possible to do.
Now, very quickly, please do bring us a positive example from youth work in Poland.
Oh, there's quite a lot. Just one,
choose one.
I will actually bring one that is related with this project. When you look at the materials that were produced during our project, you can see wonderful youth from Poland that is being interviewed and gives their input in front of the camera. What is peace? How they feel it? How they work with it? Absolutely brilliant comments from young people that are sharing their experience. Wonderful. It brings hope, definitely.
Okay, great, thank you. And I know that, Jacek, you want to give the mic on to Elina already. So how is peace education, living and thriving in Finland?
Well, recently there's been more interest towards peace education due to war in Europe. I have been doing peace education for 20 years, so from my perspective, peace education it has a long history in Finland. And also, of course, I work for Peace Education Institute. Our main reason to be is to develop and carry out peace education in its many forms. It can be anti-discrimination, equity education. It can be global education. It has many forms. What I know from Finnish, I've heard from Finnish teachers, and what I've read is that many teachers, most teachers, all of the teachers actually, they have to carry out global education. It's in the general curriculum. And it does have similar objectives that peace education have, sometimes even exactly the same. So all of them, in principle, are doing it already. They know about it. But as we know from real life examples, we don't always even read through the whole curriculum, even if we are working as teachers. At least that happened to me when I was working as a dance teacher. It took me some years to actually read the whole curriculum from the top. Calling that kind of education that brings about cultures of peace, it's not always called peace education at schools or in youth work. Mm-hmm. But I am sure that if not all, most of the youth workers are doing it. Because they are working with young people, working for a better future. And that's peace education for me.
So in Finland, you say that you feel that peace education is doing great.
From my perspective, it's doing, if not great, it's doing well. But of course, peace, even if we talk about peace a lot, many citizens connect peace with war. But peace is actually richer than just lack of war. We have negative peace, which is lack of direct violence, but then we have positive peace, which is lack of structural, cultural violence. It's equality and equity. And often when we talk about peace in general discussions, it's in our minds connected to war. So many citizens kind of subconsciously maybe think that peace education is relevant when there is fear of war, which we now have. But from my perspective, from many teachers' perspective, peace education is always relevant. But there's greater interest towards peace education than there was, for instance, 10 years ago.
I mean, just to build on what you said, it's a recognized topic which is in the curriculum. That makes a huge difference in between our countries.
Yeah,
but I mean, I can share what you're saying. I mean, it's like another level of the positive. Speaking about the positive piece, which, like you said, is very often not recognized as actually the heart of peace education. Yeah.
Now, Roula, is Estonia somewhere in between, or where are we when it comes to peace education and youth work?
I think I will repeat the really nice similarity that Elina has brought out. I think in Estonia it hasn't been promoted under the term peace education, but I will look at it from youth work and maybe in schools. In youth work, one of the main principles of youth work, promoting a safe space where young people can be themselves and can express opinions with respect to others. And I feel like that is the main thing that the youth worker is like, it's their craft. And that has been done. I'm still new to the youth field, but like that has been done with me as a youth worker, with my colleagues, with previous youth workers. And in schools, I think global education, the work that Mondo has been doing, falls under peace education. I do think we still need some experience and training, which our project offers, in switching the safe space into a brave space where sensitive topics can be discussed and no one will take it personally, which is impossible, but sensitive topics can be discussed, differences can be overcome. I think we still need in Estonia more more efforts in that direction.
What can those efforts be?
I think knowledge. Right now with this project, with the course, with the trainings of youth workers in all of our respective countries, I think I haven't been a trainer in this project, but I have been involved in creating material. So I think spreading knowledge, educating, sharing efforts is the way to move forward.
So maybe some advertising here for the very free online course, Peace Education in Times of Crisis. So I think this is one way to start. We have mentioned a few times global education. Is anybody brave enough to put it in one sentence? What is global education, in case our listeners are not aware of it, this term as well?
I can share. I think, to me, global education is taking the world causes and instead of being, for example, an Estonian citizen, you transfer yourself into a global citizen. The world causes, the world processes are your own as well. You care about individuals of all parts of the globe, and the earth causes as well. The environment is also your cause. So to me, this is what global education means. What maybe you have better, more refined definitions.
Yeah, I think definitions are something that, we can always, you can always look it up and research your own as well. Or Wikipedia, just, because there's a lot of layers, like we have mentioned with peace education as well. There's so many layers that this talk of ours is not going to give 100% definitions to you, but the essence of it. So I'm thinking what we should actually give to our listeners and to Jacek here as well is some tips. How can we take peace education and make it a successful thing in our countries? Do you have any tips?
I do have one tip, and at the same time I can present some of the ideas that we have in the online course. In the online course and in peace education in general, the peace education can be divided to any categories, but we have chosen now 3 categories which are quite common in peace education: individual level, community level, and global level. And it makes sense to start within oneself, to start the peace education journey from where we are, from inner peace. Because that's the peace that we can influence the most. And if we can manage our inner peace, that we have more of it than we had maybe yesterday, and more of it that we maybe had 2 years ago, it's easier and more realistic that we can also have peaceful interactions with others. But peace doesn't require that we couldn't have any boundaries, but we can negotiate situation in a peaceful and creative way so that they bring about more peace. Every conflict, we will have them, every conflict is actually an opportunity to make peace. But it's not easy, and it doesn't have to go well each and every time. It's just enough that we are interested in building more peace, and then we do our best. So that's something, somewhere we can start building inner peace. And there's some activities, there's knowledge and tools in the online course. Easy to do activities that everyone can do. They don't require much time, just some time for starting it, reading a text and then taking some minutes to plan, for instance. And then the next section is community level. Then we can reflect what kind of interactions we would like to have more in our work life and personal life. And then there's a global level where we can cultivate peace with all things that are alive, with the environment, with the planet. And this is also something that we can do with young people.
Thanks. And what you said, I think, is also really important, just to highlight that the part of peace, and I think that Hailey from Estonian organization here, highlighted as well that a part of peace is accepting that we will have conflicts and nothing is perfect. So accepting the tougher parts and times that you might not agree with in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I want to share something from personal experience, a misunderstanding that I had for years. I thought for a long time that in order to be a successful peace educator, I would have to be gentle in every conversation and every interaction. But as you can imagine, it doesn't work. Because sometimes we have to set boundaries, like reasonable boundaries. But we can do that in a peaceful manner in order to have long-term sustainable peace. It's not sustainable if I give away everything I have in order to make other people happy. Then who is making me happy?
Setting up boundaries, I would even say, it's part of the peace education,
Exactly.
Successful peace education. Yeah.
Sustainable,
yeah. True.
And this is something that I think all youth workers are happy to hear. It's not just happy-go-lucky, everything is perfect always, but there are tools, there are tips you can do. Working with young people, your daily life might not be always so easy. Roula, do you have an example on peace education in action in Estonian Youth Center?
I think some of the examples that pop into my head are like really, really, really simple. As in, young people might quarrel over being on the computer, using a toy too much, wanting to speak to a youth worker longer than the other. But I think my tip to youth workers, maybe to parents, is that to always approach those conflicts with curiosity and to meet young people where they emotionally are. So to them, I don't know, the computer might be the most important thing in the world right now. If I want to make peace, if I want to resolve a conflict, then it should be also at the moment the most important thing to me in the world right now. And secondly, to meet young people physically. So if young people are in schools, in streets, in the open youth center, then approaching them again with the same curiosity and making sure that they still have the autonomy of leading conversations and leading how the peace process will go, I think is the most important thing to keep in mind, at least what I keep in mind as a youth worker.
Just to build on this, it reminds me also about the fields for sharing peace education, and you've mentioned the computer. I mean, this doesn't have to be our enemy in our peace work, yeah. And it reminds me also about two things which I love to share as a great fields of peace work. This is music, and this is sports. I mean, do you know? We know young people; they are very much in both, and you know, using those platforms as a tool, let's say, as a field for peace education is absolutely super effective. And I remember from all good old times when I was doing the campaign "Let's Kick Racism Out of Stadiums" or "Music Against Racism." These are the examples of campaigning that is actually using the pop cultural language to reach young people's mind with the positive messages. And I mean, both campaignings that I was lucky enough to collaborate with are an example that actually of very, very effective peace education, but maybe not necessarily, like you've both mentioned earlier, not maybe necessarily speaking directly about peace. Yeah.
Do we have any more tips to the youth worker? I'm a youth worker. I don't know anything about peace education. I've heard there's this course, there are these 3 levels. What would you suggest me to do?
Start with yourself.
the same thing, as easy as it is.
I would, start with yourself. And also one tip that is, in my opinion at least, easy to do. Draw your attention to where you can find peace, where you can feel at peace. Look around you or be at home and just think and experience where in my home I can feel at peace. And when you are at work, you can think with your colleagues or alone, where do we have peace, or where are we building peace? I have noticed with youth workers and teachers who I have trained, once we have our attention in peace, when we start looking for peace, it's then easier to plan for peace, because peace is, as many other things, it can occur out of the blue, but it's more realistic and more likely that we will have peace if we plan for it. And once we have started looking around, and when we are curious and interested in peace, it's then easier to plan for it. And all youth workers, they are already they are peace builders. So you will find activities, places and times where you are building peace already. So
it's already easy. In a sense, it's already easy to start, actually, if you just take it as a goal.
Yeah, and at least if you know something about peace, for instance, that peace has many phases. It's cooperation, it's managing conflicts in creative manner, constructively. So it's not always called peace, but it is peace.
I'm not saying that I disagree, but I will give you a different perspective.
Good.
All right?
We can't always not hear to everything.
No, but I mean, because sometimes I think it makes also sense to look for the places when there's absolutely no peace, when there's pure conflict, when the culture is built on conflict. And try to think, where is there a spot? Is there a square centimeter of a place that I can enter with something positive? And I remember that speaking about peace in football fans culture might be not the easiest thing, but it doesn't mean that we are absolutely, there's no place for our work there. I would even say more. It's based on the sports that I've mentioned earlier. So actually, there is a universal language that we can use even in such a difficult environment. So by saying this, I mean that sometimes looking for spots where really it doesn't look good, I would even say more, from the perspective of a person that is monitoring extremism, monitoring radicalization, actually bringing such values, speaking about peace in such situations, for example, among the former extremists, who are very often an inspiration for those that are still in the movement, still active. This is a bit of, encouraging thing that I take from this project for myself. Bringing peace into the level when, I'm sorry, but no one even thinks about peace.
Well, as a beginner youth worker, the role I've taken for myself here, I take the note that I'll see what is easier, what talks to me at the moment, whether it's going into conflict, finding the square meter there or the square centimeters there, or whether it's finding the peace within. But we all know that youth workers do work with a lot of youth, and a lot of them do not come from a home or a place where, it's easy for them. So it's good to have both of these perspectives. Roula, what's your tip for me if I want to start?
Let's say you're a really beginner youth worker, like I once was. I think from this really simple point of view of an open youth center youth worker, someone who is a little bit overworked and might hear the words peace education and think, oh my God, this is so complicated. I'm going to have to study and go through it. I think I revert back to the online course. I really thought when we were working, I thought that, okay, I'm working next to experts. What am I going to bring to this? My experience in human rights. I do have the experience, but not quite like that. And then when we went through the online course material, I realized how easy and simple the language is, and it speaks to me personally. And I think this is what's good to keep in mind, that the journey to peace is not so complicated, but it starts with really conscious, mindful actions every day. It can be that in Open Youth Center you address hate speech that doesn't sit right with you as a youth worker. You address some microaggressions that you're like, oh, this behavior didn't feel right. I should do something about it. And it can be as simple as that. It can be so simple as focusing on young people's mental health and well-being. That's a big aspect, I believe, that is also mentioned in the online course. I feel like if you're a youth worker, you will know what feels right with a little bit of support, curiosity, and reading. I think you will get there, beginner youth worker.
Just to emphasize something here, what Roula said, this is a voice of a practitioner. And the practitioner is saying it's not complicated. Mm-hmm. I mean, this can be a great motivation for those who want to get involved. Absolutely.
But I'm still gonna ask this question as well. What can be difficult? What are the usual things that people bring out that when you start working with peace education, you're going to name it as peace education, what you do, like frame it like this? What can be something that might be an obstacle that you have dealt with your work as well?
Do we really want to have this negative voice here? No.
We can, how to overcome those difficulties as well. If there are, maybe there's no difficulties. But actually, Elina also mentioned one before as well, just the fact that, it's not always so rosy and smiley, but it can be, more strict as well in some senses.
One difficulty certainly is that the work is never done. We will always have more conflicts, so it can be frustrating sometimes. If you imagine that you will get on with the peace education project, you will not, because it's ongoing work. So it's a mindset that we work towards culture of peace, but actually we never land there. Hopefully it would be great if we landed to culture of peace, but it doesn't seem like it. That's one obstacle, that you lose the stamina. But there is cure for that. There is remedy, working together. And also maybe even being aware beforehand, before you start, that this is ongoing work. And you don't have to do it alone. Half of the human population, or hopefully more, are working towards the same goal.
And the more you, like what you said, the cooperation part, the more you work with it, the more people, the more youth who are knowledgeable about peace education and what it stands for, the more of population in the world you will have in your team, so to say.
Yeah. Also, one obstacle or difficulty can be that the word peace education is not necessarily very appealing to everyone, because it's not well known. So I wouldn't, even as a peace education specialist, I wouldn't call the activities maybe peace education evening, but I would call it something else. And I know as a professional that I will have peace education as an ingredient, but maybe I can choose with whom I talk about it. Yeah. As a young person, I participated to a youth theater in my then hometown Turku, and as an adult now I can see that we did have peace education as one of the activities, and it was one of the goals, but it was never mentioned. But I even recognize some of the methodologies that you had in your activity collection, that we did some of the same things 25 years ago. But we did theater, and that was what we wanted to do. But the leaders had some peace education ingredients there at the same time.
And exactly what Jacek, you were mentioning as well with sports and
music.
Yeah, music. Did it sound too pessimistic for you now?
Not really, but what I have in my mind is actually if you have explained it that it's not difficult, and same time we see some positive approaches among young people, so where are the obstacles? And now the bad guy is coming and says, of course, the system, political system and politicians might be an obstacle. And we all agree here. It's worth to bring them on the table that unfortunately we have spotted. I mean, we have started with something very positive by naming that it's not difficult and the youth can actually be active. So what's wrong? What's wrong? So I think it's worth to bring politicians and let's say systemic obstacles to the table, that sooner or later each person that wants to get involved, that wants to work on educational or activist or whatever kind of level, sooner or later will face it. And it's worth to keep it in mind. Yeah.
Roula, when working with the youth today in Estonia, do you feel that they will be an obstacle for peace education in the future?
I did say that I am relatively new to the youth field, but unfortunately, yes, I do see some obstacles. I do think about the obstacles the way we did the risk assessment this morning, that it is something we have to acknowledge if we are going to take this journey to peace. And at the moment, I do see how limited resources are because you do have to approach it, like Elina said, creatively. You cannot just peace education and bring youth into it. You have to find a non-formal approach to it, a little bit of a creative approach to this type of education. And the limited resources come from, like I said before, being an overworked youth worker, a youth worker with a lot going on at the same time. So I do see this as a potential challenge. I also noticed that some young people are disconnected from what's going on in the world today, which is a coping mechanism in order to calm a young person's self about what's happening. And also there is so much going on in this really critical developmental stage of a young person's life that what's going on with them is, again, the most important thing in the world, and that blocks out everything else that's happening in the world. And I do think that reinforcing confidence and understanding why non-formal education is important, why youth workers are important, is going to help those challenges, hopefully.
So one place where there's no obstacles is the online course. That's easy to start with. You'll find the level of yourself, inner peace first, and nobody's in between of you and the course. So that's very easy place to start. And you can name it in sports, you can name it in, or hide it in theater, so to say, or music or anything. So there is a lot of things we can do. We have talked for a long time already, so we're starting to wrap this up, because we do highly encourage you to look up the organization's information as well that who are here on the table. So you'll find more materials about peace education as well. But one last round. Is peace education like something that we can, or peace, is it something that we can truly achieve? What do you feel? A big question for the end, I know. But I am keeping my idealist hat on.
Even if we cannot, it's still worth trying.
True.
On every single day, it's still worth trying by at least small steps. So, and I mean, I'm fine with meeting after some time and coming back and checking how many steps we did.
We can have more peace than we had yesterday. We can have more inner peace, more peace in a community, and more peace in the whole planet, and between all the species on the planet. We can have more peace.
I think it's doable. I think it's the hope that I started this conversation with. If we are all working for a better future for young people, I think having this belief that the young people will help us achieve it, even at some points it might seem lonely, it might seem really, really tiresome, but I think the hope that young people will be a part of this conversation, they will participate, they will achieve their own peace, they will have this great earth that they will live in. I think that's important to keep in mind and in heart.
Yeah, let's check it out, if it's possible.
Yes.
Let's do it as a plan.
Yes. Then we meet after 200 years, we meet around this table, and then we evaluate.
Did the young people do it?
I think we will be successful in our talks, and we'll be like, okay, everything worked out so well. It sounds naive, but truly, I myself believe that if we try, like you all said as well, if we take these first steps, then tomorrow is already better than yesterday. And thank you so much, Elina, Jacek, and Roula, for this chat with me. And I hope that you all listening got something practical, something worth for you to start trying with peace education. Yes, thanks so much, and see you next time in 200 years.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.